Kevin, your work is really improving. Are you getting some special help?
It's Newton. He lives with us now.
Who's Newton?
We're really dead. I enjoyed it.
Do that again.
Hey, excuse me a minute. I've got to call home and see if everything's all right.
I thought the kids were staying with your folks this weekend. Who's watching your house?
Newton.
Who's Newton?
With your family gone camping, I'm really surprised you got up this early to meet me.
Newton woke me up.
All right, who is Newton?
Mike, this report is outstanding. I'll bet you had the office staff up nights working on this material.
Well, not exactly. Newton was my source of information.
Newton? We don't have anybody on the payroll named Newton. Who's Newton?
Don't you get lonely in this big house with Mike and the kids gone?
Not with Newton around?
Who's Newton?
Whoever made the call saved your house, probably your lives.
Boy, had to be Newton.
Who's Newton?
This is Newton, the first and only practical personal robot from SynPet. Newton walks. He talks, works, and plays. He's an educator, a security guard, a home manager, and a friend. Newton's brain consists of an IBM PC XT equivalent system for all application software. Internal control functions are driven by a 16-bit real-time microcomputer. Long-term memory is made possible by a 20-megabyte hard disk drive. He also has a 720K floppy disk drive. Time-based functions are controlled by an internal clock calendar. Newton really gets around. His mobility can be either autonomous or programmed. 2 DC motor-driven wheels and a free-turning caster allow stable travel across hard floors with as much as a 5-degree incline, or across plush carpets. He is capable of straight-line movement as well as tight radius turns. His optical sensors, including drop-off detection, alert him to obstacles in his path. He won't run into furniture or fall off elevated surfaces. He will map out your floor plan and find his way around all by himself. Newton's speech is generated by advanced voice synthesis with text-to-voice capability and voice recognition made possible by a digital signal processor using linear predictive coding, enabling him to understand and respond to verbal commands from people he knows.
Hey, Samantha.
Newton's vocabulary is virtually unlimited,
Hey there, baby.
including foreign languages.
Hey.
He is also capable of music and a variety of sound effects. This personal robot is a tireless worker. An internal cordless telephone enables Newton to answer incoming calls,
Hi, Newton. How's everything
make
around?
outgoing
We have a
calls,
structure fire.
and deliver messages.
Now, Newton, let me get the phone message.
His built-in 1200 baud modem puts Newton in touch with any online database, making Newton a single source for business, technical, and educational information.
Great job, Charlie. Now let's do something a little more difficult, like trigonometry.
Kids love Newton. He knows all sorts of electronic games. And he's not easy to beat. He also makes learning fun. Newton is a great teacher. His favorite subjects include reading, math, and history. He expects excellence, but will praise effort and accomplishment. From grade school through college, Professor Newton can help students achieve their full potential. Your home will be more secure with Newton on duty. He always knows what's going on. His sensors can detect smoke, light, motion, and the presence of human beings. He will even respond to emergency situations by notifying the proper authorities.
3562 Maple Street. Let's go.
Many home management responsibilities can be turned over to Newton. His wireless interface enables him to turn lights on and off, regulate heat and air conditioning, and control appliances. He'll even start your morning coffee, switch on the television, and wake you up on time.
Good morning, Newton.
He'll run on and never run down. A homing beacon allows Newton to locate and dock with his charging unit. This personal robot has the ability to keep up with the times. His open system permits expandability by accepting software developed by SynPet or other compatible sources. His good looks and personality are not limited to his mechanics and electronics. His colorful polyethylene shell gives Newton a modern, friendly appearance. And you can choose from a variety of colors. An array of indicator lights identify specific functions and operating conditions. This is Newton.
You've been so great.
Technologically advanced, user-friendly, and practical.
You're all right, Newton.
In future homes, personal robots will be commonplace. Newton, by SynPet, brings the future home to you.
You'll be amazed what he can do. Meet Newton, when future and fun go together. Meet Newton, he'll be your friend forever, whenever. Meet Newton, he'll be a part of your family. Meet Newton, he's a helping hand through technology. He's a dream come true, bringing the future home to you. He's watching you. Meet Newton. Newton.
Brick house.
You're watching Sleepcore. Pleasant dreams.
Science fiction, a world where we can step outside reality in order to look at the implications of technology's achievements, where we can speculate about what the future holds for society. Science fiction first appeared at the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. As engineers designed and built machines to save people's labor, science fiction writers took an interest. Some were uncomfortable with the enormous potential of machines to affect society. What assurances were there that these machines would stay under our control and would not harm us or even replace us? And what better engineering innovation to use to raise these issues than robots, machines with minds of their own? As a result of the fears expressed in stories and films of the early 20th century, engineers did their design of robotics applications against a backdrop of suspicion. This segment from the comic book series Magnus Robot Fighter 4000 AD, published in the mid-60s, demonstrates the high level of mistrust of robot capabilities.
That does it.
Are you all right?
Yes, but in another second, it would have been a different story.
The reality of contemporary industrial robotic engineering has been very different. Robots have brought about more productive manufacturing lines and greater quality assurance. Their use has saved people from having to work in hot, toxic, or otherwise dangerous environments. Automated production lines using robots are chalking up an admirable safety record. However, industrial robots have injured people, and injuries may occur more frequently as the number of working robots increases. In at least one case in 1984, a worker was killed. The victim entered the working range of the robot, presumably to clean up scrap metal that had accumulated on the floor. The work cell control systems did not sense his presence, and as a result, the worker was pinned between the back end of the robot and a steel safety pole. His heart stopped. No matter how automated a manufacturing line is, there are sure to be workers around who must be protected. Line operators. Maintenance workers. Programmers. Managers and visitors. Robots have weak sensing capabilities, so they can't be relied upon to always react in a safe way when these workers approach. Safeguarding robots is more complex than safeguarding other types of machines. Their range of movement is much greater than other machines. Machine guards around belts, other moving parts, and points of operation are small in comparison to robotic work cells that often encompass several cubic yards on the plant floor. Robot guarding has to be flexible, too, to adapt to the variety of tasks a single robot may perform. Industrial robots are hardly on the attack, but they can be a hazard, and engineers are clearly the people who must take responsibility for ensuring the safety of the people who work with them. The next few minutes will highlight some of the ways to protect people in robotics environments at critical stages of the engineering job: research, design, and implementation. It is extremely important to know as much as possible about the robot before workstation design begins. You have to know the precise track of its movement and how those moves are programmed. Since safe design solutions often involve barriers, it is important to know the range of velocities, payload limits, and tooling options that are required for the job. The barriers must not only keep people out of the work cell, but also keep the machinery within. You must know the features for robot control that the robot manufacturer provides. Alterations to the input-output system are the primary means of designing a safe application. You probably know that robots have emergency stop buttons to provide total shutdown and interruption features to stop arm motion. Interruption circuitry in a robot should be supplemented by hardware stops that will stop the arm even at its full payload and speed. Almost all robots have these stops. They're usually set at the maximum range of the robot. Engineers should have these reset to the limits of movement for the task at hand. And don't ever substitute a steel pole on the shop floor for one of these stops. When workstation design starts, use what you have learned in the research phase. Omitting pinching points is a major consideration. All of the machinery that will be used on the line must be planned for and spaced to allow humans to safely pass. Use templates or models to do this if necessary, no matter what form they take. Obstacles of all kinds must generally be removed from the robot cell. Plan space for end effectors, too. A change in tooling can significantly increase the size of the work cell. After determining size and spatial relationship of the equipment, design the isolation of the work cell. There are several different kinds of perimeter guards. Each has its strengths and weaknesses. Barriers that are easy to pass through or over are by themselves inadequate. Fencing is effective and inexpensive. It should be tall enough to discourage workers from climbing. Access gates should be interlocked with the robot controller to interrupt the robot cycle if opened. Resetting should require a two-step process. One reset at the site of the interruption and one outside the barrier. A drawback to fencing is that it is difficult to move. Another is that it obstructs the vision of workers who may need to monitor the robot cell. Safety glass or other transparent barriers cost more than fencing, but they solve the vision obstruction problem. Light curtains are another form of useful barrier system. They are available in many sizes, and they can be selectively blanked to provide access to the cell for specific pieces of equipment or products, while still sensing and interrupting the robot cycle for humans. Unfortunately, other things in the environment besides workers may trip a light curtain circuit. Make sure that your operation is clean enough to use them. Pressure-sensitive mats are another effective barrier. Their drawbacks are the possibility of unintended interruption of the robot cycle and the amount of floor space they take up, since they have to be greater than a step wide. If at all possible, locate the operator control panel for the work cell outside the barrier. Both emergency stop and hold or interrupt controls should be on the panel. A second control should be on the panel that must be activated before automatic cycling can be restarted. Several other emergency stop buttons should be located in places of easy access around the work cell. The key to successful use of these barrier devices in your design is redundancy. At this facility, all the cells are guarded by interlocked doors that automatically interrupt the robot when their micro switches are tripped. Warning lights are used to alert workers to problem situations. The operator control panel allows total control of the cell from outside. There is a total line shutdown pull cord system that has a cord drop over each workstation. Each one will shut down the entire line. Research before you begin design of robotic applications. You must know the capabilities and the control mechanisms of the robots in detail. Design your system to do the work without peril to workers. Use redundant barrier and control systems, the ones best suited for your operation. Install your production line with the same care you used during design. Fully document any changes in the design. Make sure that everyone is trained on all aspects of the new production line. 20 years have passed since robot fighter Magnus was created. Science fiction writers of the 80s still see potential dangers of robotics. But now, robots are often used to represent good in stories. Films, books, and toys present benevolent robotic characters. Clearly, there has been a shift in public perception of the dangers, brought about partly by good, safety-conscious engineering. The quality of today's engineering designs for industrial robotics applications will shape the views of the public, the workforce, and today's science fiction writers, and help determine whether scenes like these will ever be part of robot reality.
You're watching Sleepcore, media for insomnia.
All right. Here he is. Playing into another reality while we experience this one. What's the word, Lee?
Bird is the word.
All right.
Definitely bird.
So what's the plans here? Is this a new product that you want to see out in the world, or?
Well, there's a company, Ready Information Systems, which I'm the VP for Research and Development now, and we're going to be manufacturing these things. We're also going to be manufacturing authoring software and performing authoring for those who don't want to have to pay for the authoring software.
All right.
It's a system solution for the personal, portable, or wearable market.
So you could use this anywhere, plug it into any standard PC as well, or is this?
Well, you have an RS-232 connector there for that sort of interface. It's got a PC built into it, in effect. About the equivalent of a speeded-up XT. It has up to, it says 1 or 2 megabytes of RAM, 256K of ROM. We have a paging EMS kind of system for using the extra RAM. And we have a memory card that can fit in the slot, and that's sort of like a floppy disk. It can store up to a megabyte. Now, you pay more for a megabyte card, but that's as big as it'll work. So
the information access goes through the memory card, through a CD, or CD-ROM.
Well, you know, describing how things work in a computer is sort of they all go through the central processor and then they go various places. You can run it without the memory card. That's what I'm doing.
Right.
This is just
another access
ancillary.
point. Yeah.
The main memory is all internal. So you basically point to things with the isometric joystick, and the cursor moves on the screen. We've got a proprietary, or patented at least, but we're making it available under license, controllability methodology for this. Isometric joysticks have been tried in the past. They don't move, see? So you don't get any kinesthetic feedback from your thumb. But you do get visual feedback on a graphic screen. So I've done a set of principles embodied in equations, embodied in a chip, that governs the motion of the cursor in a way that feels nice and has a tunable feel.
So you can easily grasp the concept very quickly once you...
It's a subjective kind of a thing. It's very hard to describe it, you'll notice. I still haven't succeeded in describing it.
Yeah, but as you move the this at the end here, you see the cursor move.
And it feels good, and you'll be able to tune it to make it feel even better if you're feeling differently.
Great. What kind of reactions have you had to the device so far?
Very positive, I'll put it that way. The main one that we're looking for is, gee, you know what we could do with that? And I've got a number of those.
Oh, excellent.
So, this is something people have been waiting for, pretty obviously.
All right.
Du kannst hier nicht den ganzen Tag herumliegen, Leonardo. Also, was steht denn heute auf der Liste?
Guten Morgen, Jeanette. Du hast 6 Punkte für den 1.6.2030 aufgelistet. Zum ersten Punkt habe ich den Bereich auf technische Fehler geprüft und Schreibfehler korrigiert. Es wird Zeit für einen Textaufgabeforschungskurs, Jeanette.
Ah, du machst Späße. Wir sollten den Bericht jetzt lieber schleunigst an alle Biozell-Standorte senden. Kann ich die Karte sehen? Der Bericht muss nach Melbourne zu David Harris, nach Brasilien zu Gustavo Danielson, nach Shanghai zu Daming Zhu und Kopien gehen an Jan und Angelika in der Zentrale. Na, während du damit beschäftigt bist, könntest du mich bitte mit Tobias verbinden?
Ja, hallo?
Hallo Schatz, wo bist du denn?
In Koblenz, auf dem Weg zum Meeting.
Willst du rechtzeitig fertig sein, um die Kinder von der Schule abzuholen?
Unbedingt. Ich habe Katja ja versprochen, ihr bei dem Projekt über die Wiedervereinigung im 20. Jahrhundert zu helfen.
Du weißt ja, dass Geschichte nie meine starke Seite gewesen ist.
Zum Glück schätzt dich Biozell für deine Fähigkeiten als Wissenschaftlerin. Möchtest du heute Abend thailändisch essen?
Du weißt doch, mir schmeckt alles, was du kochst.
Schön, ich habe heute früh ein neues Rezept bestellt. Die Zutaten dürften ausgeliefert worden sein, bis ich zurück bin.
Abgemacht. Tschüss, bis später.
Tschüss.
Die Übersetzung ist fertig.
Dann lass uns mit dem Video beginnen. Die gleiche Nachricht an alle Empfänger.
Kamera steht auf Standby.
Hallo, guten Morgen aus Maastricht. Nur ein schnelles Video, um Ihnen mitzuteilen, dass die Vorbereitungen für das Joint Venture gute Fortschritte machen. Wir freuen uns sehr auf die Zusammenarbeit mit Eschweiler und wir sind sehr an Ihrem Input interessiert. Ein ausführlicher Bericht ist beigefügt. Wir sehen uns dann auf der Konferenz im August. Auf Wiedersehen.
Ich spiele die Sequenz noch einmal ab.
Oh nein, ich sehe ja schrecklich aus. Kannst du mir bitte ein bisschen Rouge auf die Wangen tun?
Kein Problem, wird sofort gemacht.
Was würde ich ohne dich machen, lieber Max?
We raced 1,900 miles across Australia, powered only by the sun. GM beat Ford and 23 other entries. The GM Sunracer. Solar technology from GM's Hughes aircraft subsidiary. Drive motor from the GM Research Laboratories. Magna-Quench magnets from Delco Remy. Chassis from GM's engineering staffs. A triumph of GM teamwork and technology. The vision is paying off.
At one time, a forest such as you see in the background covered this area as well. As soon as the leaves and other materials fell, the Earth's composting process began, and over many seasons, became what you see here, rich black soil. Or as some gardeners would say, black gold. Home composting is our way of speeding up and enhancing Mother Nature's decomposition process. Of course, home composting is by design efficient, just like Mother Nature herself. The process is also very valuable because it permits householders to reduce the amount of waste produced. Whatever the reason, home composting is the smart thing to do. The Earth Machine provides you with the power to improve your world. 30% of household waste hauled to landfill sites is organic, and with a little knowledge and planning, most of it can be composted with ease. Local governments are setting ambitious goals to reduce drastically the amount of waste going to landfills. Studies have shown that home composting combined with recycling bottles, cans, paper, and other such items can reduce the amount of waste going to landfill sites by more than 50%. Clearly, home composting is less costly and more efficient than transporting organic waste to a landfill site or even to a central composting facility. Home composting is the planned and managed decomposition of kitchen and garden waste into organically rich and usable black soil. The process is environmentally friendly and can be done almost anywhere, and there are rewards for the effort made. During this program, you will learn how to assemble the Earth Machine, how to recover yard and kitchen waste through composting, and how to put valuable compost resources to good use. The Earth Machine is an advanced home composter in which household and garden waste is converted into humus after as little as 2 months. The Earth Machine comes with a 10-year guarantee and has several features which make it a superior product and North America's most advanced composter. The Earth Machine has many attractive and practical features. A twist locking system on the lid, vents large enough for superior air circulation, and vents small enough to be rodent resistant, a sliding door which can be firmly secured, a lid which allows you to control ventilation, and strong twist pegs that fasten the unit securely to the ground. The sturdy Earth Machine is lightweight and parts nest together for easy transport. To set up the Earth Machine, line up the arrow on the top half to that on the bottom half, and taking care to locate the tabs into the proper slots, snap the top and bottom sections together. Assembling the Earth Machine is a snap. Slide the door on. To install the lid, line up the arrow under the word open with the arrow on the top of the composter. To lock the lid, simply turn the lid to line up the arrow on top to the word locked. So, how do we compost?
Hey, let me tell them about that. I know more about that than you do.
Oh, all right. Go ahead and explain it. We're listening.
Okay, come on down here with me. I'm Compo, and I know a lot about composting. To start, place a layer of woody materials and about a ½ inch of compost or soil at the bottom of the composter. This will ensure a steady flow of oxygen to the center of the pile. Next, alternate layers of brown and green, dry and wet. Begin with a brown layer by putting in brown leaves or other brown vegetation. Follow up by adding a layer of kitchen scraps or green plant material, such as grass clippings. Top off with a layer of soil or finished compost. Continue to alternate layers of yard waste, kitchen waste, and soil. By adding browns and then greens, you will maintain a balance of carbon and nitrogen. When you add soils or finished compost, you are always adding microorganisms, and this speeds up the composting process. Then mix the layers together. When grass is freshly cut, it can be added to your composter as a green layer. When grass is sun-dried, it can be added to your composter as a brown layer. Composting is not difficult, So here are a few easy solutions to some potential problems. If the center cools, composting is not happening. Check to see if it is moist. If not, add a little water. Too much mixing and aerating may also cause the pile to cool down. So try reducing the frequency with which you mix the pile. If the center of the pile is damp and warm, but the rest is cold, the pile may need more material. Add alternating layers and mix with the old. If the pile is damp and sweet-smelling, but does not heat up, it needs nitrogen.
Add fresh grass clippings, blood meal, or sprinkle some commercial starter over the pile.
If the compost has a bad odor, mixing the compost pile will increase air circulation, which carries oxygen to the pile. Upper ventilation can also be adjusted to help control air and oxygen flow by rotating the lid between the low and high settings shown. If flies appear around your composter, simply add a thin layer of soil. Make sure only appropriate food scraps and yard waste are placed in your composter, like these. Other materials should not be placed in your composter, like these. So, that's how you compost and avoid problems.
Well, Compo, that was very informative and helpful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Whoa!
Compo? Compo! I guess he's gone. The winter thaw and freeze cycle actually helps your compost to break down and makes the early springtime the fastest composting time of the year. Leaves may be retained and composted after the growing season ends. Compost may be incorporated into flower or vegetable gardens at almost any time of the year. Compost restores life to soil. It helps to retain moisture. It improves the texture and consistency of topsoils. It provides plants with essential nutrients. You may wish to screen larger materials from the compost and return them to the compost bin, while using the finer earth to bring fresh nutrients and beauty to your flower beds and gardens. Screen compost can also be used as a lawn dressing with excellent results. To make nutrient-rich potting soil, mix equal amounts of finished compost, soil, and sand. Leaves and yard clippings will compost faster if they are mulched. So chop up vegetable and garden waste before you put them into your composter. And be sure to keep meats, fats, and pet waste out of your composter. Through a combination of home composting and recycling, you can reduce the amount of waste going to landfill sites by more than 50%. The Earth Machine provides you with the power to improve your world.
Come the year 2020, your home may need repainting, repapering, and repairing. But you won't have to recaulk. Not if right now you try new GE Silicone 2. A caulk so advanced it'll stick practically everywhere and stay flexible for 50 years, right through the year 2020. New GE Silicone 2.